Joining me now, Alveda King, Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece. It is great to see you today. How are we doing as a country right now?
We are coming along just fine. I'm 67 years old. I marched in the 1960s, was jailed for open housing. My dad, Reverend A.D. King, Martin Luther King Jr.'s brother, Uncle M.L., were my mentors during those days. Of course, Uncle M.L., Martin Luther King Jr., was considered to be an agitator, an outsider sometimes, and it reminds me of our leader, President Donald John Trump, now the President of the United States. He's often compared to an agitator, and he's been referred to as a bull at a china shop and all of that. But President Trump is causing us to have these conversations about race relations. If my uncle were here today, I believe he would remind us of that scripture he and my dad, A.D., liked, of one blood God made all people, so we are one human race. And Uncle M.L. said we must learn to live together as brothers, and I add as sisters, or perish as fools. I know President Trump is working on prison reform, getting some people out of prison, back into the working market. So unemployment for blacks and for everybody is down, and then the hiring is coming up. We know with the tax cuts, some businesses are now saying we'll raise our own minimum wage, we'll give bonuses, and so all of that is working. And President Trump's answer to racism has always been the same. That's one of the things that convinced me to vote for him, along with his pro-life stance, the civil rights of the babies in the womb. They asked him, what about racism? He says, you know, if you give people jobs, a good, fair place to live, a good place in society with dignity, then they will get along. We just want fairness like that.
Sure.
And I had a discussion today. People were saying that President Trump has called Haiti and Africa a bad word. Well, no, he was referring to the corruption in those countries that needs to be fixed, where they actually are hellholes over there because of the stranglehold of corruption. As a leader of America, as we become great again, I believe our president is going to step into those corrupt places and drain some more swamps outside of America.
Well, the other day at the White House, ma'am, reporters were shouting at the 45th president, "Are you a racist?" at an event honoring the legacy of Dr. King. What's your reaction to that?
That was amazing to me, that they were not acknowledging the new legislation that President Trump is signing right here in Georgia, with the Martin Luther King Historic Park now being a national park, the first named in honor of an African-American person. I'm glad it is my uncle. I believe that's well-deserved. And so that's going to bring jobs and strength back into these communities. There'll be other kinds of historic sites and parks, something more being done for Emmett Till, I understand. So he's making America great again for everybody, including African-Americans, women, babies in the womb, sick people, poor people, elderly people. He's doing that. And to not ask him one question about any of that, and just to yell out, hey, Mr. Trump, are you a racist? I mean, my goodness. Is anybody really paying attention to the good that is being done in this country by President Donald John Trump? And we give God the glory, not President Trump. I mean, he's a man, he's a human being. But we have to recognize that the country is getting better under the leadership of President Donald John Trump. He admires Martin Luther King Jr. I thank him for that. And his good friend, I don't want to say sidekick, that would be disrespectful for Secretary Carson. I don't want to call him a sidekick. But he is working with the president, along with many others from every ethnic community, men, women, young people, millennials, and to just yell out, are you a racist? I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable.